Imagine a world where faith has become a crime, where expressing your belief could cost you your life. In the midst of this dark world, there were no prophets and no kings, only 7 ordinary young men who decided to say no. They had no armies, no power, but they carried something far stronger than any tyrant: true and sincere faith. In a moment of despair, these young men fled to a simple cave, thinking it would be just for one night. But it turned into a journey through time, a journey that would change history forever. The story of the people of the cave is not just an old tale, it is a divine miracle and an eternal lesson about standing firm on the truth. In the ancient city of Ephesus, there lived a young man named Yamlika. He worked as a simple trader, but within his heart, he carried a great secret, a seed of faith in the one God, planted by a righteous man. And Yamlika was not alone. In the same city, 6 other young men were going through the same inner struggle. They all believed in secret, hiding from the tyrant king Decianus, who showed no mercy to anyone who opposed the pagan Roman beliefs. One day, the king announced a grand festival, forcing everyone to bow to the idols. Yamlika stood in the great city square, watching people prostrate before lifeless stones carved by human hands. His heart tightened, his soul screamed inside, "How can I bow to what man has carved?" With quiet courage, Yamlika withdrew and sat beneath a large tree outside the city. There, the first human miracle began. One by one, 6 other young men joined him. Each had left the festival for the very same reason. Fear filled the air. Each one worried the other might be a spy for the king. Finally, Yamlika, with a trembling heart, spoke and openly declared his faith. The others followed one after another until all 7 had proclaimed their belief in the one God. A moment recorded in history, just as God described in his book. We strengthened their hearts when they stood up and said, "Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth." The 7 decided not to live as fugitives but as callers to the truth. They spread faith with wisdom, with kindness, not always speaking the name of God, but planting seeds of belief through their actions. But soon, word of them reached the king. Decianus erupted with rage, ordering their capture and execution. Warned by a righteous man that the soldiers were on their way, the 7 faced their ultimate test: surrender to death or flee. They chose escape, their hearts filled with faith, accompanied by their loyal dog who refused to leave them. Exhausted, they reached a cave in the mountains. They thought they would rest for a short while. But this was no ordinary sleep. God cast them into a deep slumber, a miraculous sleep that lasted 309 years. During those centuries, their bodies were turned from side to side so they would not decay. Their dog stood guard at the cave's entrance, while the sun's rays entered at just the right angle, never harming them. Meanwhile, the world outside changed completely. Kings rose and fell, cities transformed, and people abandoned idol worship to believe in God. After 3 whole centuries, the 7 awoke. They had no idea so much time had passed. They said to each other, "How long have we slept? Perhaps a day, or part of a day." But hunger pressed hard upon them. They sent Yamlika to the city with some old coins to buy food. When he stepped out of the cave, he entered a world utterly unfamiliar. The houses were different. The people wore strange clothes, their language had changed. When he stepped out of the cave, he entered a world utterly unfamiliar. The houses were different. The people wore strange clothes. Their language had changed. Where did you get these? These are coins from Emperor Decianus, unused for 300 years. Yamlika was stunned. 300 years? But I was trading with them just yesterday. People gathered around, whispering about this strange young man. Among them was a scholar who recognized the truth immediately. There is no God but Allah. You are one of the people of the cave we tell stories about to our children. Yamlika was taken to the believing king, who could hardly believe his eyes. "This is a miracle! You are alive!" The king and the townspeople followed Yamlika back to the cave. When the 7 saw the faithful king, they finally understood God's wisdom. They were not just young men fleeing persecution, they were a seed of faith, preserved by God for 3 centuries, so that they could awaken in a time when belief had flourished. They saw with their own eyes how their steadfastness had borne fruit, how fear had turned into victory, and how their mission had been fulfilled. With peaceful hearts, they said, "Now it is time to meet our Lord." And in a majestic moment, God took their souls, and with them, their loyal dog. The story of the people of the cave is not just an old tale, it is an eternal message that steadfastness in faith is the strongest weapon against tyranny. Remember, God never forgets his faithful servants, even if the world does. The word of truth never dies, it always prevails in the end. And remember also, faithful youth can change the world, even with the smallest of steps. Glory be to God, who turned their fear into courage, their flight into victory, and their sleep into a miracle. If this story touched your heart, share it with those you love, so that they too may find inspiration in it. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive more stories that shake the heart and cleanse the soul.